Today's presentation will cover free throws. We will do a simplistic yet deep dive into everything free throws. What's interesting about free throws is that it is Rule 8 in several rulebook sets. This includes National Federation of High School, NCAA men, and NCAA women. This falls in line with several other rules that are under one particular rule number in basketball under these same rule sets. Those rules are jump balls and throw-ins. Free throws have something in common with those particular rule sets, and we'll find out what that is as we move along. Free throws are the privilege given a player to score 1 point by an unhindered try for goal within the free throw semicircle and behind the free throw line. Free throws start when the ball is placed at the disposal of the free thrower. By rule, the ball is now live. Free throws end when the try is successful. If the try is successful, we have a goal scored. The ball becomes dead. It ends if it is certain the try will not be successful. We may have a situation where the ball might either be dead or become dead, or we may have a situation where it will remain live. Free throws end when the try touches the floor for any player, or the ball becomes dead in a variety of different ways. So I think I figured it out. I remember in live ball, dead ball, that the three ways that a dead ball can become live are via the jump ball, a throw in, and a free throw. So here is a screenshot image of the actual rule from the NCAA rule books. Again, the rule is virtually the same, not only in location, but almost in wording in both women's and men's rule books. This pretty much confirms the information we learned in the previous two slides. Free throws are governed under Rule 8 for all the rule sets we have mentioned. The starter for free throw, where the ball is at the disposal of the free thrower, live ball. End of a free throw could either be live or dead ball. And we'll talk about the situations where this may occur. Section 4 of the rule talks about the positions that players can take during the free throw attempt. We can have a minimum of 3 players and a maximum of 7 players within the lane spaces and on the free throw line. It is required that 2 opponents of the free thrower occupy spaces, more specifically the first lane spaces. And we'll talk about that shortly. So the 2 lane spaces closest to the end line, that's where the free throw block is located, are to remain open. After the block, the first space of each side of the lane that is above and adjacent to the block is designed for an opponent of the free thrower. These 2 spaces are required to be occupied. Any other spaces besides those particular spaces are not required to be occupied. The second lane space on each side of the lane is designated for a teammate of the free thrower, and the third available space on each side of the lane is designated for an opponent of the free thrower. So again, you can see that we can end up in this confined space with a maximum of 7 players and a minimum of 3 players. This portion of the rule confirms the restrictions of the free thrower and the players occupying lane spaces. The free thrower restrictions are featured in subarticles A through D. The restrictions of the players occupying lane spaces are featured in subarticles E, F, I, and K. The restrictions of players not occupying lane spaces are featured in subarticles F and G. Now, we're not going to read this particular section all the way verbatim, but we're just going to highlight some points very quickly. As we hope most of you know, the free thrower shall have released the try within 10 seconds and in such a way that the ball enters the basket or touches the ring or flange before the free throw ends. The free thrower cannot purposely fake a try, nor shall the free thrower's teammates or opponents fake a violation. The free thrower cannot break the vertical plane of the free throw line with either foot until the ball strikes the ring, flange, or backboard, or until the free throw ends. The free thrower shall not enter the semicircle once the official has placed the ball at the disposal of the shooter for a free throw. The free thrower shall not leave the semicircle before the ball contacts the ring, flange, or backboard, or until the free throw ends. E is basically telling us that players occupying the lane spaces cannot leave the lane spaces until the free thrower releases the basketball. You may hear players ask, is it on the release? Yes, it's on the release for high school, college, and all levels. Opponents cannot disconcert the free thrower. And players that are not occupying the lane spaces are required to be behind the three-point arc and free throw line extended. The portion of the rule that I want us to pay attention to from this screenshot are H and I. H is pretty much telling us that the players occupying the lane spaces may break the vertical plane once the free thrower has released the ball. Basically, this is saying once the ball is released, you may leave the lane spaces and attempt to obtain the rebound or potential rebound without illegally contacting your opponent. I is telling us that we may not have a foot extend beyond our plane of our lane spaces. Now we're going to talk about officiating free throws. We're going to discuss this not only for three-person crews, but we're going to discuss this for two-person crews as well. This diagram shows us coverage of free throws for a two-person crew. So our lead official will administer free throws with a bounce pass to the free thrower. Lead should be parallel to the free throw blocks when making this pass. In this diagram, lead is responsible for all players opposite lead. In this case, it's 2, 4, and 5, and for the nearest person in the first lane space to lead, which is 4 in this diagram. Our trail official is responsible for the free thrower, responsible for substitutes, is responsible for chopping in the clock on a missed last free throw where the ball contacts a player in bounds. Our trail also has the 10-second count for the free thrower. In addition to being responsible for the free thrower, our trail official is also responsible for 3 and 5 in this diagram opposite in the lane spaces, and our trail is also responsible for everyone outside the 3-point arc and the free throw line extended. This diagram illustrates coverage for 3-person crew. So our lead official will administer the free throws with a bounce pass for the free thrower. Again, our lead should be parallel to the free throw blocks when making this pass. Our lead is responsible for all people opposite of lead, as well as the first person near lead in the first lane space. In this diagram, that's both 5s that are opposite of lead, 3 that's opposite of lead, and 4 in the first lane space nearest to lead. Our center official is responsible for the free throw. Our center official is responsible for substitutes if the trail official is occupied, either by head coaches or officials at the scorers table. Our center is also responsible for chopping in the clock on a missed last free throw where the ball contacts a player inbounds. Our center will have the 10-second count for the free thrower, and our center is responsible not only for the free thrower, but for 4 and 2 opposite in the lane spaces in this diagram. Our trail official is primarily responsible for substitutes and is primarily responsible for everyone outside the 3-point arc and free throw line extended. It's responsible for addressing coaches within reason, and our trail official can assist with players in the lane spaces if and when needed. We're going to look at some plays involving free throws. We're going to give analysis on the coverage of our officials in these free throw plays. We're going to look at some plays from certain scenarios. Certain scenarios we will have a 2-person crew. Certain scenarios we will have a 3-person crew. Let's look at these plays.
And at the line, ACC Player of the Year candidate Armando Bacot, who is just having a great.
So in this scenario, this is not the last free throw. And we're going to imagine that this crew is a 2-person crew. With the given scenario, our lead would be responsible for red 0, 5, and 21. Our lead would also be responsible for number 1 white. And of course, our lead would administer the free throws. Our trail official, if this were a 2-person crew, would be responsible for white 5, who is our free thrower, and for red 35 and white 45 would be opposite of our trail official. Our trail official would also be responsible for everyone not in the lane spaces. Our trail has the 10-second count, the clock in case the last free throw would be missed, and it would contact a player inbounds. Let's look at the next play.
The floor to take away the pass to Bacot, and that's honestly the issues that Jim Boeheim has had with Benny Williams. It's not always been about going in and scoring. It's been about losing assignments defensively, and you see Williams checking out the game, having a conversation with associate head coach Red Autry on the sideline.
Yeah, you go to Autry class when you mess up something at the defensive side of the floor, right? Yeah, class is in session with Adrian Autry. He knows.
So for this scenario, we're doing 2 free throws with a 2-person crew. Our lead again will administer the free throws. In this scenario, our lead would be responsible for red 21, 34, and 11. Our lead would also be responsible for 1 white. And our lead would oversee a throw in if the last free throw goal is scored, and our lead will become the new trail. In this 2-person crew scenario, our trail will be responsible for white 14, who is our free thrower, responsible for red 35 and white 5. Our trail is also responsible for substitutes and everyone not in the lane spaces, Our trail is also responsible for chopping in the clock if the last free throw is missed and contacts a player in bounds, and the trail will become the new lead if the last free throw goal is scored. Let's look at the next play.
In comparison to Jabari Smith and Chet Holmgren, the other two players considered in that top three, Paolo Banchero is NBA ready right now. I believe it takes a little time for Chet Holmgren to adapt to the physicality. Jabari Smith will be a perimeter player more so in the NBA, and it's going to take some time for him to get there. I think you could plug Paolo in today, and he could be productive in the league.
Rama Sidibe with a couple of free throws. His 103rd game in a Syracuse uniform, and he will sit down.
So in this scenario, this is a normal collegiate basketball scenario. Both free throws with a three-person crew. Our lead administers the free throws. Is responsible for white 45, 5, and 1. And our lead will also see a throw in if the last free throw goal is scored, which it is in this case, and our lead will become the new trail. Our center is responsible for the free thrower, red 34, and white 14. Our center official will chop in the clock if the last free throw is missed and the ball was to be touched by a player in bounds. Our trail official is responsible for everyone not in the lane spaces, is responsible for substitutes. Our trail can address our coaches within reason, and if needed, our trail could help with players in lane spaces if the situation warranted. Our trail will become the new lead if the last free throw goal is scored, which it is in this particular scenario. Let's look at another play.
Playing hard, coming in, trying to get the block, but Armando Bacot just a little stronger, able to get that one to go down.
So our scenario is a last free throw with a three-person crew. Our lead, once again, administers the free throws. Is responsible for red 5, 0, and 21, and is responsible for white 45. Our lead does oversee the throw in because the last free throw goal was scored, and lead is now our new trail. Our center is responsible for the free thrower, white 5 and white 1. Our center would chop in the clock if the last free throw were missed and the ball was touched by a player inbounds. Well, obviously, our center official is just going to put his hand and arm down as he does in this play because the last free throw goal was scored. Our trail is responsible for everyone not in the lane spaces as well as all substitutes. Our trail could address the coaches within reason if necessary, and because the last free throw goal is scored in this scenario, our trail will now become our new lead. You know what else is applicable with free throws? The status of the ball going from live to dead and dead to live. We see that on free throws that are not the last free throw, the ball becomes live when it is at the disposal of the free thrower and becomes dead when the free throw ends. We see with the last free throw, there's potential for the ball to either become dead if the last free throw is made or remain live if it is missed because there's the potential of an offensive or defensive rebound or the ball being contacted by a player in bounds. And lastly but not least, if the last free throw goal is scored, we know that the ball is dead and will become live again once it is at the disposal of a player for the new offense for the ensuing throw-in. Thank you for spending some of your day with us today. We appreciate your time and your patience. We hope you gain some valuable insight into free throws. Once again, thank you for joining us. Have a great day, a great week, a great month, a great year, a great season.